Hi everyone, welcome to our brand new channel. My name is Berna and I'm a law of assumption coach, and I also have a master's degree in psychotherapy, and I specialize in working with trauma survivors. Um, if you would like to book with me, the links will be in the description box below. So let's get into the topic for today. So we're going to talk about something that can be very challenging for a lot of people, right? When there's a third party in the picture, when manifesting an SP, a specific person. And of course, a third party can be anything, right? It can be a job that they're working, it can be a pet that they're just completely focused on and they don't want to spend any time with you. But most of the time, it's a person, right, that we're sort of comparing ourselves to in some way. And a lot of times, like, I think it's important to remember that, this person is only showing up because, they're literally just a materialization of our fears and doubts about our own worthiness, our own value, right? So I would recommend a few different things if you're dealing with a third party situation while you're manifesting an SP. I do think self concept is helpful. Um, Mainly just changing the beliefs of, like, when I see someone with a third party situation, I would really recommend that you just affirm, like, I'm valuable, I'm important, I'm special. Just like on a loop, you can record that in your own voice and listen to it while you sleep. That's really going to help because there's something about believing, if we believe we're not important, we're just going to see that in a lot of different ways. And a major way it shows up is a third party coming into the scene, right? Because it really reinforces that belief, right? Anytime we're having an unpreferred circumstance, I find it's really helpful to be like, oh, what negative belief is this reinforcing, right? Is this making me feel like, oh, it's true, I'm not important, right? That's when we have to kind of be like, okay, cool, that's feedback. That just means I have to change that belief. So that's the first thing I would recommend for removing a third party. The next the next part is revision, right? Revision, I would say, is the most helpful, is the fastest way to remove a third party. Um, so, some people really struggle with revision because they're like, yeah, but I remember, right? And I know it's real. Of course, once we kind of learn how reality works through the law of assumption, quantum physics, it's like, okay, well, maybe reality isn't as solid as we thought, right? Maybe the past isn't like this concrete thing that we can kind of analyze and investigate. It's all internal, right? It's our inner world that is creating even our past, right? So I think it's important to remind ourselves, like, I can change my present, I can change my past, I can change my future, right? We can change it all, and it's easy. And so I would just revise the situation completely, right? So if there's a person, that your specific person is talking about, or maybe even dating, or whatever, right? There's some other person in the picture and you're feeling stressed and like, oh, maybe I'm not as good as them. Really remind yourself, like, no, I'm the best. There's no rejection in my reality, unless I say there is. I'm always chosen, right? Those are all good things to be reminding ourselves. But then also, I would revise it specifically for that person, right? Like, no, that person has never existed in my SP's life or in my reality, right? And I would just repeat that. They've never, every time you think of them and you start to feel upset, nope, they've never existed in my SP's life or in my reality. And then just go on with your day. And if you need to repeat it more, that's fine. But revision is very powerful, and I think some people just don't utilize it enough, because we're sort of taught, well, I mean, there's lots of techniques, right? But a lot of robotic affirming is just kind of like very focused on like the present moment, everything's great. So, you're just affirming like, oh yeah, my SP, loves me and chooses me. And again, all of those are really wonderful, right? I think those are all like you're reminding yourself of like your true timeline, right? The timeline that's true for you. But you're also doing that with revision, right? You're choosing this alternate timeline where there never was a third party, right? You never got triggered because that never happened, because that's just not how things are. So I would say give that a try, if you can, and let me know how it goes. Feel free to comment and ask me more questions. I'm happy to answer your questions. I might not always get back to you right away, but I'll do my best. And we have a great team of coaches here, so someone will answer your questions. But yeah, that is what I would recommend. And yeah, see what you can do to really. I also find it's really helpful just in general to remind yourself like that manifestation does work, especially if you're watching this video. It means you already believe in it enough that you're learning and curious. So I would do, you can always go back to basics and like have fun with manifesting, right? A lot of people will say like, yeah, manifest, a really good parking spot, or a free coffee, something like that. But I like to manifest, honestly, it can be really fun, just to kind of prove to yourself that no one has free will in your reality, to manifest people wearing different colors. I have a friend who always wears black. And at one point I was like, I just want to see like about manifesting her wearing pink, And I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It was just kind of like, yeah, she's decided to wear pink. She's wearing pink. Like, it's really cool. And she did, out of nowhere. She started wearing this pink shirt just all the time. And it was really cool. And I've had a lot of experiences like that, right? Like I'm going to meet someone and I don't know what their car looks like. For some reason I haven't seen it. And I'll just like affirm that it's a certain color. And then it shows up and it is that color, right? So to me, that's proving not only does that person not have free will, but my whole reality doesn't have free will. Because otherwise, how did it happen that it was like that exact color that I imagined in that moment, or that I affirmed in that moment? So all of these little tests can like help us remember our power, get into the state of like being in our power, because everything feels so much better once we're in that state, right? And then once we start realizing like, yeah, this actually works. Of course I can get my desires, like it's no big deal. Circumstances actually don't matter, right? But it's that kind of thing where the lived experience really helps you so much more than just hearing, right? Everyone says circumstances don't matter, but until you start like trying these things out for yourself and seeing like, oh wow, like I changed that, that's so strange. I mean, and I've done this with lots of things, there was some stuff I lost years ago, and that I had left at a friend's house, and just, they were like, oh, I don't know what happened, it got lost in the moved. And I mean, they looked forever, and then it just suddenly turned up. I started like just affirming like, I think I'd like to have that stuff back. Like at the time I was like, well, what can you do, right? I was more accepting of it, right? Which is what we're taught in psychotherapy. You just like accept, oh, well, these things happen. But I was like, honestly, I would like that stuff back. And so I started like imagining finding it. And then my friend texted me just recently, like, I found all that stuff of yours. And I was like, no way. So it really is, it can be fun, And I think it's really important when it's a topic like this, right? A third party, it can be so painful, right? I don't want to downplay that. Like, I know it can be so painful when like our person seems to be choosing someone else. Like, it's like the worst feeling in the world. But I'm just here to tell you, you can absolutely change that. You absolutely can remove that third party, and they will never talk about them again. And it will be as if you really did change the past, because you did. And I know that can be hard to believe. So again, you can try revising other things maybe that don't feel as intense. But I would just bring this revision affirmation in along with your self-concept affirmations, your SP affirmations, right? Also have some revision affirmations. So that's kind of like the 3-step formula I would recommend to remove a third party just out of your existence altogether. You are the chosen one. You know, you're more than good enough. Of course you are, right? Your person only wants to be with you. And yeah, and they've never wanted anyone else, right? So anyway, I intend that that was helpful. Again, feel free to book with me if you want, you know, a personal session. We can talk about your circumstances, and yeah, I would be happy to work with you and guide you and help you get your desires, because I love helping my clients get their desires. It's such a good feeling. And I get so excited about, you know, the law of assumption. Like it's really exciting that we now know that reality is so different than we were taught to believe, right? Kind of the old way of thinking about things. Like we know that that's not how things work. So anyway, I'm excited to be here with all of you, and yeah, feel free to comment and let me know if you have any other videos you'd like me to make, and yeah, go from there. Okay, thanks so much. Bye now.